Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight in, really getting into one core idea. It's this principle that, well, it kind of flips how we might think about consequences.
That's right. We're talking about the idea that the real source isn't necessarily what you do, but more about the mental state behind it, the why.
Exactly. We're diving into some really foundational ancient texts on morality. Specifically the starting point, the very first principle in this particular collection, which puts the mind firmly in the driver's seat. So our mission today, for you listening, is to try and unpack this. Understand the mechanism of consequence. If an action causes harm, is that automatically a negative mark against you personally?
Or does the real weight, the karmic weight, actually depend on the intention, the thought process before the action? It's a fundamental question.
It really is. And the sources we're looking at, they don't hold back. They state it right up front.
They do. The core line is, all mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner. They have mind as their chief. They are mind-made.
Wow. That's quite a statement. It suggests the mind isn't just like reacting. It's actually building the reality we experience.
Precisely. It's the architect. And the key term here, though you don't need to get hung up on the Pali, is Manapupangama Dhamma.
Okay.
Think of it like this. The mind is the operating system. Everything else, feelings, perceptions, all those complex thoughts and reactions, they're like apps. If the OS isn't running, the apps can't launch. Mind is dominant. It has to come first. It's the necessary condition for any experience. Okay,
got it. The essential precursor. So if the mind is the architect, what happens when that architect designs something, well, flawed or deliberately harmful?
Well, the source text follows that logic directly. It gives us the formula for essentially suffering. It says, if one speaks or acts with an evil mind, dukkha follows him.
Dukkha. Suffering.
Yes, and this is where we get that incredibly vivid analogy about the consequence mechanism, how suffering, dukkha, follows that action.
Oh, the ox cart one.
That's the one. Just as the wheel follows the hoof print of the ox that draws the cart.
That image is just so potent. It implies this absolute direct link. The wheel has to follow. There's no gap.
Exactly. It's unavoidable causality. Once that mental cause is set, the result is bound to follow. And, to really feel the weight of that, we should probably clarify what dukkha means here. It's often just translated as suffering, but it's richer than that.
Right. Tell us more. What's the full spectrum?
Well, yeah, it definitely includes physical pain, mental pain, but it's also that deeper sense of unsatisfactoriness, that things just aren't quite right.
Like a fundamental friction.
Yes. And in this context, tied to an evil mind, dukkha really expands. It means misfortune, negative outcomes in this life, and the texts are quite explicit. It can even mean consequences like rebirth in less favorable conditions, lower planes.
So it's the whole range of negative fallout from that corrupted intention.
Correct. And the crucial point, linking back to the first line, is that this is all driven by the mind. The phrase is manasa se padufena, with an evil mind. The physical act is just the messenger, really.
The mind is the cause. The action is the effect. So the speaking or acting, that's just the vehicle carrying the consequence. The actual engine is the intention, what the text calls satana.
That's exactly. Satana, volition, the conscious will, the choice to act. And this is what distinguishes, say, just bumping into someone from deliberately shoving them.
Right.
That conscious choice, that volition, is what constitutes karma. If you step on an ant accidentally, it's just a physical event. If you deliberately seek out an ant to step on, that volition makes it karma. The sources are crystal clear. Karma is the intention plus the volitional action stemming from it, and that's what produces the result, the dukkha, not just the physical motion itself.
Okay, but let me push on that slightly. What about accidental harm that still has real-world consequences? Say you accidentally knock over an incredibly expensive vase. You didn't intend to, no malice.
Right.
But the vase is still broken. You probably still have to pay for it. Isn't that a negative consequence?
That's a great point, and it highlights the distinction. You absolutely face immediate practical consequences. The vase is broken, there's a mess, maybe a financial cost. That's undeniable.
Okay.
But within this specific framework of karma and dukkha, the moral existential consequences we're discussing, the absence of that malicious intention, the satana, means you haven't generated that particular kind of negative energy that follows you.
So no moral debt, even if there's a practical one.
Precisely. You have physical or social liability, perhaps, but not the specific type of kamic liability that the verse is talking about.
That distinction is Well, it's everything, isn't it? And it perfectly sets up the story that illustrates this verse, the story of Cakkhupala.
Yes, this narrative is like the case study that proves the principle. Cakkhupala. He was a highly respected monk, an Arahant.
Meaning fully enlightened.
Fully enlightened, yes. Yeah. And he was also blind, living at the Jetavana monastery.
And the incident itself is pretty straightforward, right?
Very. One evening, maybe after some rain, he was doing his walking meditation, pacing back and forth, deep in concentration.
Focus inward.
Completely. And in doing so, he accidentally stepped on some insects that had come out onto the path. Didn't see them, obviously.
Okay, so an accident.
An accident. But the next morning, some other monks, visiting monks actually, saw the dead insects. And they were, well, shocked. They immediately went to the Buddha.
Thinking the worst, presumably. That this enlightened blind monk had killed living beings.
Exactly. It looked terrible. Here's an Arahant, seemingly committing a serious transgression. How could that be? They reported him, thinking ill of him.
Which sets up the Buddha's explanation. How did he handle it? It cuts right to the heart of this intention versus action thing, doesn't it?
Absolutely perfectly. The Buddha first asked the accusers a simple question. Did you actually see him kill the insects?
And they hadn't.
No. They just saw the aftermath. So the Buddha stated the obvious physical truth. Just as you didn't see him killing them, he, being blind, didn't see them either. Simple fact.
But that's just the surface level.
Right. The deeper crucial point was about Cakkhupala's state of mind. As an Arahant, his mind was completely purified, free from ill will, anger, cruelty, all the defilements.
So he was incapable of forming the intention to kill?
Precisely. The satana required for the act to become negative karma simply couldn't arise in his mind. Therefore, even though the physical act resulted in death, it carries zero karmic weight for him. He was innocent in the moral sense because the necessary mental component, the evil intention, was absent.
Okay, that makes sense within the framework, but it immediately raises a huge question, doesn't it? For you listening, this is the paradox. If he's an Arahant, pure mind, incapable of generating negative karma now, why is he blind? Why is he experiencing this very significant form of physical suffering, dukkha, himself?
And that is the consequence playing out. His blindness is the present-day result of past intentional action. It's the wheel catching up from a previous turn.
Ah, so it shows that even enlightenment doesn't just wipe the slate clean of past karma, the results still have to manifest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Past volitional acts driven by intention will still bear their fruit, even if the mind is now pure.
So let's trace that back. What was the past act? A story goes into his previous life, right?
As a physician.
Yes, a very skilled physician in a past existence. He was treating a woman with a serious eye condition. She was apparently quite poor but desperate, and she promised him that if he cured her, she and her children would become his slaves.
Wow, okay, high stakes.
Very. And he did cure her. His treatment worked.
Oh, bad.
But then the woman, realizing she was cured, and dreading a life of slavery for herself and her kids, decided to lie.
Wow.
She told the physician that actually her eyes were getting worse, that the treatment wasn't working, hoping he'd just give up, perhaps.
So she deceived him to avoid the promised payment, essentially.
Yes. And the physician,
Yeah.
He knew. He realized she was lying. He could tell her eyes were actually fine.
Okay, so he's faced with this deception. What does he do?
This is the crucial moment. Instead of just calling her out or letting it go, he chose revenge. Malice.
Knowing she was deceiving him, that conscious awareness is vital here, he decided to punish her deception. He mixed up another ointment.
Pretending it was another attempt to cure her.
Exactly. But this ointment was specifically designed to make her totally, irreversibly blind.
That's horrifying. Using his skill, his knowledge, purely for malicious harm. Calculated.
Utterly calculated.
Yeah.
Based purely on anger and spite because he'd been lied to. The physical action itself, applying ointment, might look neutral, even helpful out of context.
But the intention.
The satana was purely evil, premeditated. And the sources draw a direct line from that specific mental act, the malicious volition of the physician, to Cakkhupala's blindness many lifetimes later.
So his dukkha, his physical suffering now, is the direct result, the wheel following the hoofprint of that past mental action.
That's the teaching. It perfectly contrasts the two situations.
Right. Present day. Accidentally stepping on insects. Major physical harm caused, but zero karma, because no intention. Past life. Applying ointment. Seemingly minor physical action, but driven by pure malice, resulting in lifetimes of severe karma, manifesting as blindness.
It nails the core message of the verse. Mind is the forerunner. Mind is the chief. The quality of your intention dictates the consequence, far more than the physical nature of the act itself.
And understanding this distinction was apparently incredibly powerful for those listening to the Buddha explain it at the time.
Oh, hugely. The text mentions something quite remarkable right at the end of this discourse.
What was that?
It says that upon hearing this explanation, grasping the difference between intentional and unintentional action, seeing how Sotapanna was the key, 30,000 monks who were present attained Arahantship right then and there.
30,000, instantly.
Instantly, yes, along with something called analytical insight. Just understanding this principle, truly getting it, was enough to trigger that profound mental breakthrough. Liberation, essentially.
Wow. So the knowledge itself, the clarity about where consequence truly originates, was profoundly freeing. It takes the focus off just policing external actions and puts it squarely on cultivating the inner landscape, the mind.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to the listener, to you. If volition, Sotapanna, is the real engine here, the thing that actually determines the path of that wheel of consequence, how does really understanding that difference, the gap between accidental harm and conscious intentional malice, change how you look at your own life? How you assess your choices, your responsibilities, maybe even how you interpret misfortunes you've faced?
It's a challenging thought. It suggests that while maybe we can't control every outcome, every external event, we have potentially complete control over the quality of mind we bring to those events, and that is where the real consequence lies.
That's the takeaway. The power resides in the intention.